Now, in a GB News exclusive, migrants will be housed in POSH Flats in Farnborough. The flats are worth £1,400 per month and have been allocated by the Home Office for migrants.
Well, joining us now in the studio is GB News reporter Adam Cherry, who broke this story last night. Adam, break it down for us. What have you found out?
Yeah, so I travelled down to Farnborough yesterday to see what was going on, and I found these apartments are 1, 2 and 3 bedroom, and as you say, they were on the market for £1,400 a month, but they're now, you can't book a viewing. I tried. They've been taken off the market entirely, and that is because the Home Office has taken over the entire block, all 100 or so apartments, to house what we expect to be up to 300 asylum seekers over the coming weeks. They haven't moved in yet, is our understanding, although furniture and bedding has been taken into the property. I spoke to a number of residents. So the block itself is adjacent to a residential property which is occupied and has been for some time. And those residents were told only in the last couple of weeks that this was happening. They didn't have any, they weren't consulted prior to the decision already being made. And they were told that this is what they can expect in the next month or so, and they themselves have seen in the last couple of days bedding, furniture, tables and chairs, that sort of stuff being brought into the property. And for those on television, you can see that these flats are to a high specification. It's not basic accommodation at all. I mean, people are happy to move into these flats. They look very good. So I spoke to councillors, I spoke to locals who weren't aware of the specifics of this story, because the Home Office has taken the decision not to announce any of this. Likewise, the council, who told me that they are largely in the dark, or at least were until last night. Council decided not to make an announcement either. So our story is sending ripples throughout the local community. It's worth bearing in mind that actually there's already a hotel which is housing migrants in the local area. It's not clear whether those migrants are going to move to this new facility in Farnborough, or whether it will supplement what's already there at the hotel. We tried to enter the hotel and it's locked down, you can't go in. I also tried to speak yesterday to the local MP, Conservative Leo Doherty, and that proved very difficult despite several phone calls. But I can reveal in the last couple of moments, as I'm sitting here, I've received a statement from Leo Doherty, and he says, "I am strongly opposed to the Home Office's plan to place asylum seekers in this property. Whilst it is right that the Home Office seeks to end the use of costly hotels to temporarily hold asylum seekers while their cases are processed, I am firmly of the view that this building is not an appropriate choice, and I continue to do all I can, including making direct representations to the Home Secretary, James Cleverly, to oppose it. I, in concert with the leader of Rushmore Borough Council, the local council, have lobbied the Home Secretary and Immigration Minister repeatedly in recent weeks. We've made clear our strong and ongoing opposition. In my view, the Home Office has not provided satisfactory responses to these representations and has not adequately justified its decision. I am extremely disappointed by this and remain entirely opposed." So this is causing warfare within the Conservative Party as well, just in the last 24 hours.
Adam, is this inevitable, given the government's sort of decision to stop using hotels, their inability to get barges up and running, and the strong opposition we've seen to using former RAF sites as well? Ultimately, there are people who've arrived in the country who the government have an obligation to house, and there are relatively few places. It almost seems like it's a game of whack-a-mole. Wherever they try, they're unable to do so.
And just to add to that, Adam, is it the case that these are asylum seekers? Their claims haven't yet been processed. They're still waiting for an answer?
To your point, Emily, that answer isn't forthcoming at the moment because the Home Office don't reveal this stuff, the council don't know, and those I spoke to within the council don't have the answer to that question either. So we don't know yet, is the truth of it. On the former point, Tom, yeah, so the Home Office current policy is that they will move asylum seekers out of hotels as soon as possible and provide them with, of course, you'll provide them with adequate housing and humane accommodation. But it was Robert Jenrick's policy, who's the former immigration minister, who obviously resigned in December, although his policy remains, that the accommodation can't be seen as too luxurious, too comfortable, because it will have the effect of encouraging more illegal immigration in the future. So, yeah, it is a problem for the government, and they have every day they have seemingly more boats and more asylum seekers to process. But it's really a problem of their own making. Bear in mind, as you say, our army and military bases are perhaps not the most comfortable circumstances, but even in Farnborough, there's a large MOD presence there. So it's not impossible that they could be housed in comfortable barracks or similar accommodation. There are surely alternatives than taking residential areas off the market in a location where there's a housing shortage.
And Adam, the number of stories I think we've all seen in the last few years of the inadequate level of social housing for people perhaps born in this country who are living in state-subsidised accommodation, the mould on the walls, the improper care, all the rest of it. It's a pretty big slap in the face for those people who are living in deeply, deeply substandard accommodation, that the high-spec stuff, in this case, is being reserved for people who've just arrived.
Well, that was certainly the sentiment of those I spoke to in Farnborough yesterday. Their view was charity should begin at home, and this is, as you say, a slap in the face. That's how they would probably describe it. So that's the attitude of the two Conservative councillors for the ward in which this building is located. That was what they said. They said local homes for local people, echoing essentially the same statement that I've just read from Leo Doherty. So yeah, it's causing a lot of commotion in Farnborough over the last, as I say, last 24 hours.
Thanks, Adam Cherry. Appreciate you bringing that to us. I mean, we were just talking, Tom, about the housing crisis and how difficult it is for people to get on the property ladder. But if you're claiming asylum in this country, you then get put up in £1,400 a month flat. How can the government justify this? Well, clearly there's going to be outrage in the local area.
It's so wrong as well that these people are waiting so long to hear the outcome of their case as well. If these cases were heard quickly, decided quickly, they wouldn't need to be put up. They could go and get a job. They could go and, pay for their own accommodation. But instead it's the taxpayer that's been put on the hook of it because they're waiting so long.
Well, unfortunately,
for these decisions.
even when claims are accepted and so on, it takes a while to then be, getting into private accommodation. We simply don't have enough social housing, and this will be a slap in the face.
Or market rate housing.
Well, or market rate housing, yes.
But in response to this story, a Home Office spokesman has said, we've always been upfront about the unprecedented pressure being put on our asylum system, brought about by a significant increase in dangerous and illegal journeys into the country over recent years.
We continue to work across government and with local authorities to identify a range of accommodation options to reduce the unacceptable use of hotels, which cost £8 million a day. The government remains committed to engaging with local authorities and key stakeholders as part of this process. Now, I've spoken to local authorities before who say that they're not really involved in the process and that what the Home Office decides goes.
And exactly, that's what Adam was saying about this particular case. Those people that live literally opposite these flats had no idea until it was just imposed upon them.
Well, there you go.
It doesn't seem like a practical situation.
Let us know what you think. gbviews@gbnews.com. I'm sure you've got a view on this.